following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Defy Life Podcast, powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by Bud Bottles, home of the Bud Bottle and the Bud Freshener. Please visit budbottles.com for your odor eliminating needs. This is episode 212. Y'all come on in, wipe your feet off, close the door behind you. I'm your host, J.R. Glanf, joined this week by a very special guest who's always, he's made himself comfortable here. My son, Lincoln. Lincoln, what's good?
I'm having a very good day. Woke up like 7 o'clock, went to Golden Corral. Ain't went to Golden Corral in a minute. It's been fun. And it's always a good day when you top it off with the show.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, welcome back, sir. So this week we're gonna get into some more NFL talk. We're gonna talk about our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers this week. Talk some free agency, a little bit of draft. Last episode with Pooh and Al, we talked about the Bears and the Cowboys. So we're going to explore some different teams as we lead up to the draft in the offseason. So got the Bears and the Cowboys knocked out. We touch on the Steelers today. We can look forward to the Eagles next week. The Jets again, the Jets next week. Look forward to talking about some Bills talk in the near future. So we're going to touch on a few teams as we barrel through the offseason. So before we get too deep into this, as always, I want to let you know that we want to thank our Patreons. Please visit www.patreon.com/GoDefyLife to become an official Patreon. We'd definitely appreciate your support. And we definitely already appreciate the support of our current patrons. So thank you so much. If you're looking for any of our shows on the Defy Life Podcast Network, please visit DefyLifePods.com. That's where all of our podcasts are held, of course. You can check out our written content at GoDefyLife.com. It's the granddaddy of them all. And please check out our branded apparel at DefyLifeGear.com. Got a spring line that just launched, and it is fire, so please go check that out. So without further ado, Lincoln. Big news this week. Just in a matter of hours, it seemed like it happened. The Cheetah is no longer a Chief. Tyreek Hill, all-pro wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe the fastest man in pads in the league, was traded to the Miami Dolphins for 5 draft picks, which included 2 first-rounders. What were your thoughts on that, man? I know, I always ask you what's the most shocking move. I know that was shocking to all of us. What did you think as far as that, for that move, as far as from the Chiefs standpoint and where it leaves them, and how it's gonna play out with the Dolphins?
Obviously it was a shocking trade. Nobody thought it was gonna happen. Everybody thought the Cheetah was a beloved member of the Chiefs, and he still is, but obviously, he has been moved on to the Dolphins. The Dolphins were hungry, so they picked him up. So, what I think about this trade, I feel like it's really obviously, it's a loss for the Chiefs and a big win for the Dolphins. I think it's really gonna show Patrick Mahomes' game more and how he can expand his game, because that offense is really based around Tyreek. Like 30-40% of that offense, the route concepts, him guiding other receivers open, because every single play he's double teamed. Every single play he's double teamed, and that's either with a corner and help from a safety or 2 corners. You never know. Probably triple team. Every game he at least gets triple team once. So it'll really show how the other receivers can do their thing single-handedly and not rely on Tyreek so much, but do things for themselves, because Tyreek really carries that offense a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. So, two things I think. One, especially considering the money that Miami ended up paying, although it's gonna hurt the Chiefs this year with take away a player like Tyreek, but in the long run, I think it may benefit the Chiefs when we get that many picks. and to restock on your future. However, I think with a lot of teams taking on the mentality of, or trying to adopt the mentality of the Rams with the F them picks mentality. If you get a guy like Tyreek Hill, you pay him, you got to give up those picks, but you get a player who can take your team to the next level, at least take your offense to the next level. So it could be a win-win for both teams. However, it's going to play out differently. There's no more excuses for Tua at this point with Jalen Waddle, with Tyreek Hill, with Mike Gesicki. There's no more excuses. So Tua's got to ball out, because they bought into him. So very big trade. Again, this is getting more like the NBA with the trades and all the movement. So it's going to be a very interesting season. We'll see how this plays out. Also, news came out that the Seattle Seahawks are entertaining a trade for their superstar receiver, DK Metcalf, because the wide receiver market has been set to a point where they might not be able to re-sign DK as they're in a rebuild phase. And if they, it's always, we always hear, if you pay it, once your quarterback gets paid, it's hard to build a roster around them. Well, now teams are paying receivers what quarterbacks used to make, so it's harder to build a roster around a receiver. So hence the possibility that Seattle may be dealing, or at least listening to trade offers for DK Metcalf. What are your thoughts on DK? Is he worth all that money that we see the Devontae Adams and the Tyreek Hills getting? And what are some possible landing spots for DK?
Landing spots for DK, I heard two teams, Chiefs and Packers. If he goes to the Chiefs, it would be a big one for the Chiefs, but I do not want that to happen. Keep him out of the AFC. I don't want no smoke, okay, DK? And what you said earlier, is he worth what Tyreek and Adams? Yes. Is he on that same ground line? Yes, he is. Big guy, top 3 fastest receivers in the league. He's like that. And I just want to keep him out of AFC. So if Green Bay is interested, take him. Quick. And I know they're in their rebuilding phase, because the Seahawks just lost their quarterback, Russell Wilson, to the Denver Broncos. Lost a couple other players in free agency. Signed a couple players in free agency. But those players will not be Russell or DK. I think it's really 50-50 to me, because DK is like a center point on that offense. And I feel like you should kind of build that offense around him. But they are in their rebuilding phase, and they might not have the money to re-sign him. So it's not a big deal to me, but if he goes to the AFC, it will be a big deal to me.
No doubt. All right. Yeah, man. I completely agree. DK is on that level. It'll be tough for a team that's in the rebuilding phase to pay all that money to a receiver as they don't even, as they look for even a quarterback. So, because receiver is such a dependent position. Like, so many things have to go right just for a receiver to catch a pass. Like, from snap to reception, somebody misses a block, quarterback is a sack, you don't even get a chance to catch it. Quarterback throws a bad pass, you don't even get a chance to catch. So receiver is such a dependent position that if everything else is dookie juice around DK, he's going to be unsuccessful. So it's a tough call to make. You just hate to see talent. Anybody hates to lose talent like that. But yeah, man. But that's pretty much in. Other than we saw in Cleveland with the Browns introducing DeShaun Watson this week. As we've been saying in this household, a Steelers fan, F him, he's a Brown. We don't care about him. But he did get introduced in a weird, awkward press conference this week. And there's also talk about, as we move on to talk about Steelers talk, one, how you going to feel over the next 10 years facing DeShaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow twice a year?
Obviously, we have welcomed them. Not really welcome, but DeShaun is a part of the AFC North now, and we have to face him. I don't think we'll be 10 years, like you said, but it will be a matchup for the next 3, 4, 5 years. If he wants to smoke, he wants to smoke, and if that's against Mr. Mitch, and we got to deal with 3 of those quarterbacks, sure, I'm fine. We've beat him before. We've beat quarterbacks like this before, but it will be tough with 3 superstar quarterbacks, especially one that just went to the Super Bowl. But we never know how Deshaun's going to play. So I'm not going to say nothing on that until Deshaun steps on the field and we actually see if he's still a superstar.
Okay. Reasonable enough. Yeah, it's rare to see a player miss an entire season and come back and be the same. Quarterbacks, not so much, but with an athletic guy like Watson, we'll see if he still has that explosiveness and hasn't lost. If the game's still slow for him, so we'll see. His current, I guess as far as depth charts go, his current backup is now Baker Mayfield, former starter. The Steelers have said, as we ease in the Steelers talk, there's reports that the Steelers are saying is if Baker Mayfield is released, they're not willing to trade for him and give up any picks. But if he's released, that they'll pounce on him, quote unquote. With the addition of Mitchell Trubisky and with Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins already there, is there really a point in bringing in? Is Baker Mayfield better than all those guys?
No, not to me. Especially how he played last season. He played worse than a quarterback and Carson Wentz that sprained both of his ankles in the same season. I don't know how you excuse me. I don't know how you play worse than that. His QBR was horrible. He just didn't play bad. And his temper tantrum, he's like a little kid. So Brown said they want an adult quarterback. And I know that was a little shady, but it's true. And I don't want a quarterback like that. It's just like having a Dwayne Haskins to me. I don't feel like he'll do anything for the team. He's not going to be better than Mitch. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me if we were going to, what they say, pounce on him. But I don't think there's a point.
Yeah. Unless the Browns have like this master plan of ruining the Steelers from the inside and sending them to send them to Pittsburgh and just ruin us, and just let Baker be the foil. We'll see. I don't know. You mentioned Mitchell Trubisky. I had a talk with Pooh on the show on the last episode. We talk about Mitchell Trubisky. As a former Bear, Pooh's everything all the time Bears. So he's got some intel as far as the younger Mitchell Trubisky. Apparently he's done a lot of growth. He's as a leader and as a player to the point where this week the Buffalo Bills, where he spent the last season backing up Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills erected a shrine in his old locker for Mitchell Trubisky because they miss him so much and they think that highly of him as a player in his time in Buffalo. I always say, when you sign a free agent and the fans and the other team that he just left are upset that he left, it's a good sign. So does it give you, I know when that first signing, all the way back when he got drafted, all I've been hearing is Mitchell Trubisky from Pooh, and we said the same thing when the Steelers signed him. So what kind of hope do you have for Mitchell Trubisky? Again, like we always talk about, I know you're not the biggest Matt Canada fan, but his offense does require a mobile quarterback. And again, we did have Old Man River taking snaps at center last season. Ben was a statue, Roethlisberger. And Mitchell Trubisky does offer some mobility to be able to run the entire facet of that offense. What kind of hope does Mitchell Trubisky give you, and have the Steelers done enough along the offensive line and that quarterback on offense, period, to be a contender in the AFC North this season?
Obviously, like he said, I'm not the biggest Matt Canada fan. I just don't like sometimes where he draw up routes, but 50% of that passing offense is based around that you need a mobile quarterback. So I will give Matt Canada another chance, one more year, to prove himself with a mobile quarterback. And if Mitch doesn't do right, or if Canada doesn't do right, or if it's both ways, they both don't do right, then I will feel your struggle. Uncle Pooh, I will feel your struggle with Mitch. So that's how it is. And then with Canada, just get him out of here. He's got to go. He's got to go. I don't care about Matt Canada if he doesn't perform well without a mobile quarterback. So yes, I will give him another chance. But I can't say too much now because everything really is unexpected for the Steelers.
Right. Yeah, man. I'm Team Canada for the moment. He is the guy, and I believe in giving guys an opportunity to show you their plan. And when you're hamstrings, as much as I said it in the last episode, you got an 18-year veteran, future Hall of Famer at quarterback. He's going to have as much input as that offense as anybody. So with Ben now retired, Canada can, again, run his full offense, and we'll see. But I'm just not – that's how cultures are built or not. In football and especially in the NFL, that's how cultures are built. And, I just don't believe in churning out coordinators and coaches and front office people without allowing them an opportunity to fulfill their plan. So we'll see. Give them another year or two, and if it doesn't work out, you move on. But at least give him an opportunity. You got to supply him, as Bill Parcells would probably say. If you want him to cook dinner, you got to give him the groceries. So maybe Mr. Trubisky be a nice juicy steak for Matt Canada.
Just one more year. That's all I can take. Just one. But if he does perform good, then okay.
Oh, maybe then you'll change your tune. We'll see.
Maybe. Possibility.
So we did talk about the offense in general, and we mentioned that we talked about the offensive line with some pretty exciting. You can tell we're both offensive linemen, right? It's exciting news because we got some guards and center. But yeah, with James Daniels, Mason Cole, signing up front, two immediate starters. And guys that are have some position flexibility. That's a Mike Tomlin dream. Guys who along up front who can play multiple positions. So both those guys, including Kendrick Green, can all play center and guard. So it allows you some flexibility and some depth. And they re-signed Chukwuekorfor at right tackle. Dan Moore is entering his second year at left tackle. So. As opposed to last season, there's some hope on the offensive line. What are your thoughts on what's still missing on that offense? Be it a backup running back or a speed on that receiver, whatever that is. Or do you think quarterback still needs to be upgraded, possibly in the draft? What do you think are what's the biggest need on offense still?
Right now I would probably say this is a gimme. I'll probably say speed at receiver. I'll give you my top three. Speed at receiver. A speedy running back. Change up the game when Najee's out. Change up the game, like I said, for the receiver when Deontay or Chase are out, or when it's just three receivers. Have them run quick, or just send him on the street and see what he can do. I don't care if you the worst receiver in the league. If you the fastest guy, I'll take it. I'll just take it. We just need a fast guy to change up the game. I don't know. I'll probably say size at O-line. Big size at O-line. Especially, didn't we get rid of Zach Banner? Yeah. Okay. So since we got rid of Zach Banner, and I know he wasn't going to be a starter, I know he's going to be a subbing guy, after like 5 games. But still, I still think we need a little bit of size at O-line.
Okay. My son channeling his inner Al Davis, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you. I'll show you who Al Davis is later. But yeah, you like speed and size. I don't care if you can play. If you're fast and you're big, come play for the Raiders. But yeah, I do agree. We need a backup running back. As much as Najee Harris is going to touch the football, he's going to miss time. You saw it last year, as durable as he was. At some point, you're going to take a shot and you're going to miss some time. And you need a guy who can come in and spell him during games, and a guy who can possibly, get you a game or two. If Najee misses any time, that's just the nature of the running back position. I also agree that they do need speed at receiver. And then I think the third missing piece on that offense is still at receiver, but it's a different type of receiver. Not just they need a speed guy, but they also need some versatility. A guy who can, play on the outside, play on the inside, spell with the starters, but also be a good route runner in the slot. So a guy like Alec Pierce from Cincinnati is a guy I like a lot, who would be a kind of a big slot. Sort of like a Juju with better speed. But you need a slot guy who can be a natural receiver. They've been trying that forever. I mean, they tried it with Eli Rogers years ago. They tried it with Ryan Switzer. They tried it with Ray McLeod. So we've been trying to find a slot receiver, and it just hasn't been working out. So, I think that's a big guy. A big, Juju's, played in the slot, but Juju's gone now. He's a Chief. But yeah, so those are the pieces I think are missing on offense. So as we move closer to the draft, what do you think is a big? Do you think the fact that they reported that Stephon Tuitt is back in the building now, and he missed the entire 2021 season with the death of his brother, which was tragic, and his younger brother, and also with a knee injury. So he missed the entire season last year, but there are reports that he's back in the Steelers facilities, and so it was kind of up in the air whether he was going to be in this year or whether he was thinking about retirement. And the fact that the Steelers did not address outside of the organization a free agent that could bring in along the defensive line. They brought back, Montrevious Adams at D-tackle, but Tyson Alualu's coming back, but no outside free agent. Do you think that's a good sign that Tuitt may be back next season?
Definitely. That's a good sign. Obviously, his mentality right now, not mentality, his mental thinking right now, it might not be the best after a season-ending injury, his brother passing. And he's a superstar. And he will always be a superstar in his NFL career. So it is a good sign, but I feel like in the later draft rounds, we might draft probably one or two D-line just to be safe. Obviously, Montrevious Adams signing, that was big. I wanted to bring him back. He played nice over those last 8-7 games he was in. So I like it. And I like hearing Stephon Tuitt's name being back as a Steeler, hoping he'll play.
Yeah, absolutely. Tuitt's, as we talk about all the time, he may be my favorite player on that roster right now, especially on defense. A lot of names to choose from. But, I think it's a good sign that they haven't addressed an outside free agent along the D-line. It definitely, if Tuitt's coming back, it definitely lessens the need in the draft. Especially when you look at what guys did last year with all the injuries and guys coming back. So with Alualu missing the entire season, Adams being a new guy, Tuitt being out all season, having to play Loudermilk along the defensive line for a huge portion of the season in big snaps. Henry Mundo, guys like that who should be depth pieces, not featured pieces along the D-line. So But it would be good to have Tua back. So let's talk some draft, man. You're a chip off the old block, man. An apple that didn't fall far from this tree, I'll say. I'm a lifetime draft nerd, and it's a blessing to have a son who is the same. I taught him well, ladies and gentlemen. That's for you, Tony Conti. We, with free agency, we talk about, sometimes it's pointless to get attached to players and in the draft and mock drafts and all that stuff. Because it changes so much after free agency. We've seen the Steelers' needs change so much after free agency and going into the draft. But at this point, who are your top three draft eligibles on your wish list, realistically? Like, I don't want you to give me like I don't know, Aiden Hutchinson or nobody like that. No Thibodeau's. Guys ain't getting us. So realistically, who are the top three guys on your draft list that if the Steelers at 20 that you wish they'd take?
20, pretty decent pick, and for our needs, I will list out my top three right now. I would say cornerback. I probably might have two corners in this one. I might say Andrew Booth, Kyer Elam, and quite hard. This is a little hard. What's that linebacker name from Alabama?
Christian Harris?
Yes. Christian Harris or Charles Cross.
Okay. Yeah, because, you mentioned corners. I don't think there's any shot of Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley reaching pick 20. But I like Andrew Booth a lot. And I like Kyer Elam as well. Charles Cross, yeah, if he's there, it'll be tough to pass on a guy like that. Although he at this point he may not be there for us either. But yeah, Andrew Booth that is on my list. He's at the top of my list realistically, probably. Yeah. Also, you look at a guy like Devin Lloyd. I like Devin Lloyd a lot. And a sneaky pick in the first round for us, Lewis Seen out of Georgia, the safety out of Georgia, 6'2", about 200 pounds, who I think would be, if they don't address, safety and free agency, or even if they do, but if they, there's been talks of the Tyrann Mathieu, DeMonte KZ, or even bringing back Edmonds, Terrell Edmonds, and I like Edmonds, but if he's out the door and there's a huge hole there, I think right now safety is the biggest need until we sign or draft somebody. So Lewis Seen will be a perfect complement, skill set wise and athletically, to Minkah Fitzpatrick. Seen is a sneaky name to think about at safety. So if you did have, we talk about guys that aren't going to fall to the Steelers. If you had a dream scenario, if you had a fantasy dream, what would be the one name that a guy that will fall and would be available at pick 20 for you?
Sauce Gardner. Too quick. Sauce. I would sprint over there and I would sprint to his house. No calls. I would sprint over to that table or his house and say, "Come here. Take me to the facility. You're a Steeler now." Yep. That's exactly what I'm doing if I'm one of the coaches and he fought to us. Sprinting as fast as I can. Save my life just to get him. That's too easy.
Yeah, I love me some Sauce Gardner. Just so I can give a different name that you didn't give, I'm going to go Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. If Kyle Hamilton falls, Lewis Seen, you can kick rocks. I'm taking Kyle Hamilton, but ain't no way either one of those guys are falling to us. I know it ain't happening. All right, so last question before I let you go. the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, Kevin Cope, the Steelers sent the entire brain trust to all of the quarterback workouts and their pro days. So Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett, who's right there in their backyard, Sam Howell. Who am I missing? Matt Corral. They sent everyone to go see those guys work out. Now, Malik Willis, of course, Kenny Pickett had the first workout, but he's right there in their backyard. Kenny Pickett was next. Malik Willis was next. And, of course, everybody said, the Steelers are all in on Malik Willis. They sent everybody. Mike Tomlin, Mike. Now, it's no secret Mike Tomlin loves Malik Willis. Like, he reportedly said it to Hugh Freeze, who was the coach at Liberty, where Malik Willis is the former quarterback. Apparently, Mike Tomlin said, I would love to draft Malik. I just don't know if he'll be there available at 20. So it's no secret that Mike Tomlin loves Malik Willis, and the Steelers are pretty much infatuated with him. But they showed up at everybody else's pro day too. So, does that mean they're going to draft 4 quarterbacks? Because if that's the reason they're in love with Willis, like, why would they show up for everybody else? So, if Malik Willis is there at 20, so this is the twofold question. If he's there at 20, I ain't gonna say should the Steelers draft him, because they're gonna do what they want to do. But if they do take him, how would it make you feel? What would you think about it? And 2, if he gets out of the top 10, should they trade up and get him?
I'm going to start with 2 first. No, I do not think we should trade up and get him. We would love to draft Malik. He's a good quarterback, but is he worth taking over Andrew Booth and, say, a Desmond Ridder fall to us, or a Kobe Bryant fall to us, or in round 2, right? Now, with question 1, if he is there, it would be pretty neutral to me, because there are chances of him saying any team he goes to, there's a 50-50 chance of him sitting out for a year and then starting the next year so he can learn the offense and develop more quickly as a starter. So it would be pretty, I'm not going to say neutral, because obviously I will have some bad feelings and good feelings. Probably leaning towards more of the bad feelings, because if we get Andrew Booth in the first round and then a Desmond Ridder fall to us in the second, I'd rather that scenario over a Malik and a second round receiver or a second round corner. So with the 2 scenarios I just said, I'd rather Booth or Elam and then a Ridder.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I definitely don't think, I'm not trading up for Malik Willis, man. If that was the case, you should have traded up for, one of the quarterbacks last year. Should have, which was a lot better class. Like, shit, go trade up for Justin Fields if that was the case, So I agree with you on that part. Secondly, I wouldn't feel too. I definitely, it wouldn't be my first pick to take Willis, because I happen to think Mitchell Trubisky is going to do pretty well. Do I think he's the answer for the next decade? Probably not. But you figure that out. You sign the guy, and I don't think, but you got to give him the weapons and fill out the rest of the roster. But I wouldn't be too upset if they took a guy like Malik Willis, if he fell to 20, because the upside is there. He's going immediately when you put him on the field, he's going to be one of the top, probably one of the best 3 athletes on the field immediately. But that's the thing. He doesn't have to start immediately. You can afford to sit him for a year or 8 games or 10, however long it takes. You got guys who can start games in the NFL while Malik Willis waits. But you bet on that upside. You bet on the arm strength, the athleticism, the instincts while he rounds out his game. And most of his faults are fixable and they're coachable. A lot of his inaccuracy and inconsistency issues come from, footwork and below the waist, things that can be coached. So I definitely agree that I wouldn't trade up for him. It wouldn't piss me off if they drafted him at 20. But, I'd rather, it depends on who else is there, at 20. I lied. I told you that was the last question. One more question. Willis, Pickett, Corral, Ritter. I already know Howell's at the bottom of this list. Rank them for me, in your opinion.
Like in my liking or skilled wise? Like top 4 in the draft or like to my liking? In my opinion, okay. I'm trying to figure out between Ritter and Malik right now. I'll say Malik at 1, Ritter 2, Corral 3, and then who's 4th one? Oh no. Pickett 3, Corral. I don't know. I'll say Pickett 3 and Corral 4. I gotta give Pickett some of his respect. I gotta give him his respect. Even though I don't like him that much, but I still gotta give him his respect.
Right. And of course Sam Howell's last in your opinion. Yeah. It's weird. Like, I like Kenny Pickett. But everybody's saying he's the most NFL ready in this class. Yeah, 2 things. Like somebody's got to be the tallest midget. You get what I'm saying? Like, but NFL readiness, and if I don't need him to start right now, it don't matter much to me. I don't draft a quarterback for this year alone. I don't draft a quarterback or any player, but especially a quarterback. I don't draft you to go win me a Super Bowl in year 1. There's a reason why that's never happened, right? I'm not going to go, induct you into my Ring of Honor or build a statue or put a shrine in your locker after 1 year. My hope is that's why you bet on upside in the draft at quarterbacks, because this thing is for the next, 12 to 15 years or more if you're lucky. So, I'm betting on a guy that's just going to develop. That's the issue with Baker Mayfield. He's never got better from his rookie year. So, yeah, I agree. To my liking and for what the Steelers need, Pickett's not that guy for me. Although I do like him, I don't think he's a fit. But yeah, Malik Willis and Desmond Ritter to me are 1 and 1A as far as what the Steelers would need. So I'm right there with you. Not a terrible quarterback class, but nothing like. There's not that one guy that sticks out like Trevor Lawrence last year. Like, you knew he was going to be the first pick. Nobody, it's not like that. So we'll see. Before I let you go, man, anything else you want to say about the draft, or the Steelers, or how you outshine your Uncle Pooh and your Uncle Al on this show? Like, what do you have to say before I let you go?
Nothing really. I mean, there was a good talk about especially the quarterbacks and the free agency and Tyreek with that unexpected trade. But no, nothing else. And like you said, it does feel good to be better than my uncles. I'm just joking. But yeah, it was a good show. And peace out. And I don't know.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me, man. I'll definitely make sure your uncles hear this. But yeah, y'all, thanks for listening. Again, we'll be hopping around the league, talking to the representatives of other teams as we go through the off season and get their thoughts on their team's off season. So we'll be back next week. Until then, Defy Life.